Hi, and welcome to using Screencast to facilitate learning from home. My name is Diana Benner, and I am one of the directors of professional development at TCEA. I have my contact information on the screen if you ever need to reach out to me. Please feel free to send me an email at dbenner@tca.org, or you can always contact me on Twitter. I am at diben. Also, you can get a copy of this slideshow at tca.org/remote learning. So today we're going to talk about screencasting and what screencasting is. I'm going to talk about some different ways that you can use screencasting when you're teaching remotely. We're going to take a look at a few tools as well that are free for you to use. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to make your screencast even better, and then some questions for you to think about before you even start with your screencast. So let's go ahead and get started. So screencasting is basically a digital recording of your screen. Usually it contains audio narration, just like you hear me now, I'm speaking. And sometimes it can contain a video of yourself if you have a device that has a webcam or a camera. You can include yourself in the video. That's totally up to you. So some different ways that you can use screencasts when you're teaching remotely is to explain concepts. So if you have just short snippets of things that you want to explain to your students, screencasts work really, really well for that. Now, I wouldn't record a whole lecture on a screencast. So again, just short snippets of information or concepts that you're trying to explain to your students. If you need to create any type of tutorials, screencasts are really good for that. So you can demonstrate different things to your students. You can share announcements. So if there's something that you wanted to share, you can make a screencast of your announcements. You can also give students feedback by using screencasts. So let's say you had your students do an assignment and you wanted to just do a short screencast, letting them know and giving them some feedback on an assignment. Screencasts work really well for that. Communicate information with parents. So if you're needing to get some information out to your parents, again, a short screencast would do the trick. And also sharing directions with students. So when you're teaching remotely, you know how you're not there with your students face to face. It may help them to have a short screencast of the directions, and that way they can play it over again if they need to. So those are just a few ways to use screencasts when you are teaching remotely. So let's take a look now at a few screencasting tools. So the first one there is Screencastify, and this is one of my favorite tools. It does work well if you have a Chromebook or any type of laptops with a Chrome browser. It is a Chrome extension. And I'm actually going to be demoing Screencastify here in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is Screencastomatic. So Screencastomatic is a web-based screen recorder, and you can also download that to your laptop, and I'll do a short demo of that one as well. A few others that you're seeing on the screen is Loom. Loom is actually what I'm using to record this video here. So Loom is a Chrome extension, and they are currently offering teachers a free version to their Pro account. So we'll take a look at that if we have time. And then if you're using a Mac, QuickTime would be a good option for you. For iPad users, if you didn't know this, you can do a screen recording directly on your iPad. And I've got the link there. It shows you how to do that. So basically, you go to your control center, and that's where you can actually find how to do the screen or access the screen recorder on the iPad. And OBS Studio is another option for Windows as well as Mac. This one is a free and open source software for video recording as well as live streaming. So I wanted to give you just a few options there depending on what you have available or what you're recording from, whether it be a PC, a Mac, or a Chromebook, or an iPad. So let's talk about Screencastify. So I told you Screencastify is a Chrome extension. It does allow up to 5 minutes of video. You can record your screen, your desktop. It does have the integrated webcam feature as well. The good thing I like about Screencastify is it automatically saves to your Google Drive. So, there's nothing really you have to do. It's just an auto save. Unless you want to export it, you can do that as well or publish it to YouTube. It does offer some annotation tools as well. So let's take a look at Screencastify. I have the link there for you if you want to install that on your Chrome browser. You can see here it looks like an arrow that is pointing to the right. So I already have it added to my Chrome browser. So let's say that I wanted to explain a short thing about Screencast, and I've made this Google slideshow, and I want to use Screencastify to record this. So I come up here to my Chrome extension, and you notice that I have a few different options here. I can record just the browser tab. So if I know I'm just sticking with this tab, I can do that. If I'm going to be moving around, I might want to record my entire desktop. That way I know for certain it's going to grab everything. If I just wanted to make a recording of myself, you can just do webcam only. So that is another option as well. You can see my microphone is already on and it's going. I can embed my webcam. Right now I have it off. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that turned off and not embed that. A few more options is you can have a countdown. Usually I set my countdown to 5 seconds, but you have the option of doing 10 or 3. You can show the drawing tools as well as show your webcam preview. So if I had the webcam on, it would have a little preview of me speaking while I am recording. But since I don't have that on, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. So these are just a few different options. There are some additional settings if you want to play around with those. You can, like resizing your tab and doing different things with the resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got my lesson here on Google Slides. So I'm going to go ahead and click record. So it wants to know, what do you want to record? I'm going to say my entire screen, and I'm going to click share. And you see that I am now getting a countdown. So it is now recording. So I could now present, and then I go through and I record myself. And then once I'm done, I can stop sharing my Screencastify. And you notice that it automatically generates my screen recording. It opens up in another tab and it goes through and it plays it for me. Okay, so at that point, all I would need to do is rename my Screencastify. And then you notice here I have some different options here. So I can copy the shareable link if I wanted to. Right now the video is private, so only I can view it. I can make it public if I wanted to. And then once it's public, that means that my students would be able to view it. All I would have to do is get that copy of that link and share it to them or share it with them. You can view it on Drive. I told you it automatically saves to Google Drive, so you can look for it there on Google Drive. Usually it throws it in a Screencastify folder. If you're using Google Classroom, you can share it directly to Google Classroom. You can publish it to YouTube, and you can also get the embed code if you wanted to. Also, another cool thing is you can generate a QR code. So if you wanted to generate a QR code, you could then get this QR code and give that to your students or to parents, and then that will get them a copy of your screencast. Or, of course, you can download it if you wanted to. So those are a few different options. But again, you have to make sure that when you're sharing it, that you do make it public so that your students are able to see that. But since this was just practice, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. Screencastify does have a few ways that you can edit your video as well. You can open it in the editor and do a little bit of editing if you wanted to do that. Okay, so there's the editor. You notice that you can crop and cut out different sections or add text to your video as well. So that is Screencastify. Really, really easy to use. Right now, up until April the 30th of 2020, Screencastify is giving unlimited access to teachers. I do have the instructions there on how to activate Screencastify Unlimited. So if you want to visit their page and then redeem that coupon and enter in that special code, you can do that. Again, that will give you unlimited access to Screencastify up until April the 30th. And again, it gives you a few more features, and you can record longer than 5 minutes if you need to. ScreencastOMatic is another easy screencasting tool to use. It does give you up to 15 minutes for free. You can download or record directly from the site. Again, it does have the webcam option that you can use. And again, kind of similar to what we saw with Screencastify, you can save to your desktop, publish to YouTube, or share straight to Google Classroom. So this is Screencast-O-Matic, and you can see once you get to their site, you have a launch the free recorder. So if I click on launch the free recorder, you can see that it says that it is launching, and I'm going to go ahead and open up that free recorder. And while that is trying to launch, I'm going to go out to Google Jamboard. If you are not familiar with Google Jamboard, Google Jamboard is basically a whiteboard by Google. It has lots of different features such as backgrounds. So if I needed, let's say, a paper or line rules type background, it also gives me some different graphs if I wanted that. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a clear background. I see that I have my Screencast-O-Matic, and it is wanting to record. Okay, so I have that set. You can see some of the different options right here. There's a webcam feature. There's the screen feature. The max time I know is 15 minutes. I've got some different size options here for my video if I wanted to do some resizing. And you can see that my mic is already going. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can record my screen, and let me press record here. It's going to give me a countdown. And I'm going to grab a marker, and let's say that we're working on addition, and I'm showing you 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, so I'm demonstrating how to do addition. And so I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to click done, and it wants to know, what do you want to do, edit your video or save and upload? I'm just going to click save and upload, and you can see here it gives me my video. Make that big. I've got a screen recording within a screen recording, so that's why it looks kind of funny and kind of tiny there. But I can play my video. And I'm going to grab a marker, and let's say that we're working on addition, and I'm showing you 2. So I'm going to stop it right there, but you can see that it recorded my screen, so I can save it as a video file or go straight to YouTube. Or if I create an account in Screencast-O-Matic, I can save it there as well. But I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that and not save that. So again, that was really simple with Screencast-O-Matic. So that is another one you can use. Okay. So let's talk about a few tips. Before I do that, I did want to show you, I'm currently using Loom. And I won't be able to demo it because I'm using it right now. But Loom does have lots of different videos on how you can use it. So you can see here, these are different presentations, tips. You can see that you can have your webcam down here as an option for your particular video. And Loom is, again, currently offering teachers free access. And so they talk about the different things. So Loom Pro is now free for education. So there's more information there if you want to take a look at Loom. You can definitely do that. Like I said, I'm using Loom right now just to test it out. and see how it works. All right, so let's talk about some tips for better screencasts. So one thing you want to do is make sure you plan ahead for your screencast. I do have a copy there of a screencasting planner, and that is by Matt Bergman, that you can actually make a copy of that if you want to kind of sketch out what you're going to do. But what is your goal with your screencast? What do you want your students to master? And it goes through and gives you some helpful questions to think about, everything from accessibility to planning to thinking out some of the logistics. So that template is there for you, again, by Matt Bergman. The one thing you do want to do is keep your screencast short. Again, you don't want to record an entire lecture. If you have multiple things that you want to share, I would divide it up. And that's where the planner comes in handy. Maybe you could do part 1, part 2, part 3. But again, kind of keep them short because you want to think about your students' attention span. If you're working with little ones, maybe you just want to do a minute or 2. And of course, you can go a little bit longer for your older students. Only record what you need and be careful with your cursor. You don't want your cursor all over the screen everywhere. I would do a practice run. Make sure that your audio is working. Turn off your notifications. Try not to have too many tabs open. Do make sure once you're done recording that you review the video and make sure, again, that it did capture everything that you wanted it to. As far as sound, try to use a microphone if you have one, and reduce the background noise as much as possible if you want to get in a quiet room. Kind of take it slow. You don't want to talk very, very fast. You want to always speak clearly, and of course, try to silence as much as you have going on around you, as those can be distractions for your students. I did demo a Jamboard for you, which is a whiteboard that I did my addition there. There are a few additional whiteboards there as well. There's, I'm not always quite sure how to, AWWAPP is another nice whiteboard for recording, as well as web whiteboard. And to end, just a few things to consider. Where will you be posting your videos? So think about, how are you going to get your screencast to your students? Is it going to be via Google, YouTube? So think about that. How will your students access it? Are you going to do the QR code, the link, send it to Google Classroom? And the main thing is, how are you going to hold your students accountable for watching your screencast? Are you going to do some type of quiz, reflection question, any type of assessment, discussion? So again, think about all of these things before you create your screencast, especially that accountability part, because you do want to make sure that your students are watching your screencasts. So if you need any additional resources for teaching remotely at home, make sure you visit our blog at blog.tca.org. And once you're there, you can do a search for remote teaching or remote learning, and all of our blogs about those particular topics will come up. So again, thank you for joining me today as we talked about screencasting, as well as some different tools that you can use and how to make better screencasts. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Again, dbenner.org, or you can find me at my email, dbenner@tca.org, as well as Twitter @diben. Thank you so much.